Hey everybody, I'm Jake with Functor Factory, where we try to make computer science concepts and functional programming theory more accessible to everybody. Today I want to introduce a new series that we're going to put out on this book, Purely Functional Data Structures. This book goes through a lot of the kind of standard data structures you would expect from any computer science program, like heaps and queues and lists and all that. But it does it with a twist by talking about how we can design data structures inside of functional programming languages or inside of a functional programming context. The big difference there is that when we're working in a functional programming language, we need all of our data to be immutable and persistent, right? Which means that if you have a reference to a particular structure in memory, that reference needs to continue to be valid as long as that reference is in scope, right? So if you add a new element to the list, that needs to create a new list and keep the old one still valid. So this book talks about concepts and approaches and techniques that we can use to design these kinds of data structures and analyze their efficiency, and kind of how can we study and compare these different sorts of approaches. As we go through the series, we're going to focus in pretty strongly on the examples themselves over the theory, but we will talk about the theory behind each of the chapters in the book as we go through it. But our primary goal in this series is going to be to really study how these particular data structures are implemented and how the different theoretical ideas the book talks about relate to those implementations specifically. Some of the data structures we're going to come back to a few times, the same way that the book does, because we're going to follow that structure pretty closely. So, for example, we start off early on in the book, he implements a binary search tree, but it's unbalanced, right? Because it's kind of early on and there's not a lot of ideas, and he just wants to demonstrate a particular concept. But then, of course, we come back to this idea of a binary tree later on and do it in a more sophisticated way. So we'll have that same kind of structure as we go. The book does all of its examples in standard ML, and then there's an appendix that provides all of the data structures again in Haskell. But we're going to re-implement everything in TypeScript using more or less the same algorithm and the same structure behind everything, making minor tweaks here and there as we need to make it more TypeScript-y. All the code will be available on GitHub as we go through it, and I hope you guys enjoy watching these videos as much as we love making them.